Hello everybody, and welcome to my first long-form update. We bought this house in 2015, and here's how we changed it since 2020. As you can see, we added a circle driveway, and then I put two different gardens up front, all facing north. And here's what it looks like in the springtime versus what it's currently looking like going into the fall. This long process started in March of 2020. 6 weeks ago, our hollyhocks were thriving, and here's what it looked like first, and then here's what we currently went through to get our hollyhocks to grow. We brought in 5 feet of dirt, planted the willow after the shed blew away, and here's where you can see the back berms being built. This is what it looked like 4 weeks ago. This is what it looked like 4 years ago. And here's how we're going to update this. All of this work was to be able to manage this 42-degree angle slope that is just horror on the back and knees and constantly falling while mowing, and nobody wants to have their foot slip underneath the lawnmower. And as every gardener knows, your garden grows with you over the years, so let's take a journey and see how we came so far through this last 4 years. Through all the droughts in Iowa, I created areas where water sequestering can take place, and then I layered it with 4 to 6 inches of mulch so that way it can be used as wicks going out to my newly line of lilacs. We got actually 58 lilacs planted there now. We got 8 different types of irises, 5 different types of hostas, English lavender, sunset daylilies, 6 types of clematises, 7 types of stone plants, which are actually hardy succulents. What I'm carrying to the camera currently is all of my perennials from the front and the back garden combined. Here we see where we started on August 1st of 2024, and this is the backyard where only one of our neighbors get to see, and where all of our current action is taking place. As you can see, this wonderful display of lupins/lupines, this used to be the back berm, which is now completely grass covered. So we are going to be fixing that here, and you're going to be seeing that as well. However, let's do a little bit of backstory. So, as our neighbors are constantly trying to push back on me building up on my garden and for me to showcase my house, the reason is because they used to own this property, and through a very long 19-year family dispute, they were forced to sell by not only the county but by the state as well. And we ended up with it not knowing all the craziness that was going to come behind it. So battling their spiteful and petty actions, I continued, and they still try to fight back, but what makes them more and more mad is that I continue. So they sat down and watched for 3 days during this part while I was fixing this slope right here. And it was when they realized that I was onto something big that they started to fight back. They tried to make sure that I couldn't find dirt anywhere to bring in, and for our entire communal spot where we have a fire pit and mulch, they decided to throw all the grass clippings on top of, and luckily, since we're in a kind of a drought, they just dried out, and I still use them around the willow that's going to be up and coming here today. For some reason, they got a handful of people in the same family mad at me about using resources like the burnt logs for me to bury and use inside my garden. I also do use them to build the mounds and to do the walls, but once they disintegrated after about 8 months is when I go in with brick. But they don't like the long form process, and I'm here to, as you can tell, to amend this hard clay soil and get our topsoil back. And besides, look at this mulch that I'm using. Look how amazing that looks. It has such great potential of growth inside of that, which is why we ended up moving that coral maple tree that I'm currently working around up here by the house. So as you can also see, I'm using all the sod to build the back berms up. And so I just flip it upside down and continue building my berms. flip it upside down and continue building the berms. And here's where we're at so far. And here's where it looks after I planted that maple back in. Got a few hostas and 8 more different types of irises there as well. As you can see, I'm bringing in a lot more dirt to even everything back up. And after this part, you're going to see the bricks start lining up and get all cleaned up and stacked proper. Once again, my main feat here is to try to amend this 42 degree angle slope, which is nearly a right degree angle in some spots. But after going through all this process, I'm learning that digging and lifting and planting and mulching is kind of my zen. It's a way for me to process what's going on in life currently. Because after I lost both of my parents in the last couple of years, and we just buried father on March 3rd of this year, a couple of days before my 42nd birthday, you just kind of needed to get a hobby out there for you to work through your emotions, yeah? So, as you can tell, playing in the dirt is my journaling. And whose journal looks as beautiful as this? For it truly is a blessing to actually have a spot to garden and to landscape and to sit back and relax and enjoy life in. So now we are actually working on the eastern side, and we are adding 2.5 feet of dirt on top of our hardy hibiscuses here. Of course, after removing a lot more irises that we're going to be planting over there behind that coral maple that we just planted. And while playing around in this spot, I realized this is going to be a beautiful spot for a bench here in the future, because we got all the shrubs behind it. We got a wonderful maple on the left-hand side of it that I believe is growing out to be a sugar maple. And we're finally going to get that much needed shade in this garden. Because not only just contending with a 42 degree slope, I am contending with 90% direct sunlight. And it's year-round, winter and summer. Which is okay because I also have different types of cacti planted up there around the house, which keeps the mice out during the winter times and the summer times. So if any of y'all are actually looking for a natural defense against mice getting into the house, I advise you actually planting some prickly pear. Now, after a while, they do start spreading out, so do brick them up so that way they don't spread under and out as well. But I do find that planting cactus is a beautiful alternative to actually keeping poison vets all around the house, which also means that when a mice does get stuck on one of the cacti, we got cats and birds, even amphibians that come and eat them. So the circle of life, yeah? Now going back to the project, we're taking a view at which area of the grass that we are going to be currently lifting up and planting around the willow tree, so we can build its berm up 2.5 feet and 3 feet out. And as you can tell, yes, the neighbor just drove his semi in and is sitting in his truck watching me the entire time, thinking, what resources am I going to use next? And are they going to be able to go and block my way of being able to get to it? The answer is no. Because I've already learned all of their tactics and I pre-planned everything, and now we have all that we need for success right here inside the yard without having to go out for more. But I would like to thank all of you for coming with me on this journey thus far, and since we're only halfway done, please give a like and follow so that way we can give you more updates on how this yard is going to turn out here in the future.